So the first thing I would say is think about the worst case scenario so that it's not going to surprise you. Second, keep your emotions in check. They will lead you to bad decision making. They will lead you to a sense of urgency where there isn't one. And one of the first things I learned in first aid, they said, look, you always have time to think. You will make more mistakes if you rush and try to help, rather than if you were to take a moment, assess the whole situation, understand the full width of the situation, and then take a decision as to what happens next. The only exception to this is somebody can't breathe. That is a real emergency crisis where you have to intervene immediately. Everything else, there is time.
I have the perfect example for this. You remember when we were riding back from Chennai?
Yeah.
So we'd all gone for a track day. It was Shumi. Who was with us on the way back? Ameya was not there.
No.
Ameya had not come back. We'd ridden down 3-4 of us, and we rode back up 3-4 of us. Akshay was with us, I think. Anyway,
Yeah.
so point being that we were 3-4 bikes riding back from Chennai to Pune, and this was at Satara. We had stopped at the McDonald's for lunch, and when I stopped, I remember I had a call from Vanita, and when I called her, I just spoke to her, and I was done, and I said, okay, chalo, let's go. Shumi was the lead rider. So I said, okay, we're done, we can go. So he asked me, what's up? I said, no, nothing. He said, no, what's up? So he could tell something has happened. So Vanita told me, while I was on the call, she told me that basically our son, Siran, he had fallen and broken his hand. And she was fully panicking, right? So I just told her, calm down, whatever. And I told her where we were. And obviously she was even more panicked by that because we were
Still three and a half hours at least.
3.5 hours away. And so we just had a conversation saying that this is the situation and said, okay, let's get back and be efficient with our travel. Now, as we got back on the road, we were a convoy of 3-4 bikes, and you were leading. I was on the Busa, he was on the Multi, back then the
1200.
The 1200. And I remember it would have happened subconsciously, but the pace picked up.
Yeah.
And the pace was, I mean, it was enough because I was maybe distracted, right? I was thinking about something else. So it felt much. And we had to stop for fuel. And when we stopped, I immediately told Shumi that, there's no point. Let's slow this down. If you have to slow it down further, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want to create another issue on the way there.
Yeah.
So this was, and it was such an instinctive thing, right? It would have been great to ride fast and feel occupied by it.
Correct.
But it did not make sense. I did not feel comfortable by it at all.
Correct. And the context of this you should know is both of us and the other two people we were with, all of us have the capacity to go much faster. That's not the issue here. The issue is Kartik became aware that there is a distraction, and he said, because of the distraction, I don't think we should be doing this pace. And so the entire group just slowed down. This was not a problem. And remember, whether you go a little bit faster or a little bit slower, arrival time is not going to vary by all that much. So
and the other aspect that struck me once I got there was, because of that decision, what happened was energy conservation.
Yeah.
We had done 2 days of track riding, then ridden out and all of that.
Yeah, we were at the end of a 3,500 kilometer run at that point. Yeah.
And I was going to get back to Pune and straight to the hospital where I would be needed to help out.
Yeah.
When I got there, because of the decision to just slow things down,
Yeah.
right? I got there and I could be useful.
Correct.
Right? I did not end up being just tired and, just sitting there figuring stuff out like that. I was there being able to participate, right?
Correct.
And that was I look back at that and thought that I'm surprised because we've done a long stint.
Yeah.
I should have been tired, whatever. It may have been adrenaline and all of that kicking in. But when I got there, I was fine.
You're
I was
functioning.
Like, okay. Yeah. So that was useful. I think in that sense, being able to calm down and taking that rational choice will help you go the distance. Right?
Yeah.
Take the right calls.
Yeah. And remember the point about this that I really, really enjoy about having to deal with a difficult situation is how little can you worry and how much can you do? Because worrying doesn't do anything by itself. It only complicates your decision making by just adding unnecessary inputs, right? So when I started riding alone, I went with the idea saying most people who ride alone come out the other side okay, statistically. Therefore, there's not much to worry about. That's my baseline. My baseline is I'll be okay. Next, what happens in the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario for me as a human being, it doesn't matter. I'm not involved anymore. My worst case for the bike is bike goes on a truck. This is not a big deal. It is extremely inconvenient. It might turn out to be extremely expensive. But it's a bike on a truck. It's not a big deal. So the motorcycle immediately became a no concern. Best case scenario, nothing will happen to the bike, will be awesome. Worst case scenario, bike will break down so hard that it'll get on a truck. Okay, solved. Right? Statistically, what are the chances that I will get hurt so much that I'll end up in a hospital? Small chance. But if I'm in a hospital, there are doctors who are trying to do the best they can. So again, I'm not involved in this. So can I worry about the quality of a doctor in the place that I'm going to get hurt? Yeah, I could. But will it achieve anything? No. So out of the picture. So then you're like, is my first aid kit enough to deal with a minor injury if I have along the way? So okay, I need a crepe bandage in case I have to give support to a certain part of the arm or not. That's it. After that, the worries became very remote because I've dealt with a sequence of mental challenges saying, how would I deal with this? How would I deal with this? How would I deal with this? I'm done.
It's like when we're talking about cars, right? And being able to fix stuff in a car, fixing stuff is so difficult today,
Yeah.
right? There's only some amount that you can
Correct.
do to make the car roadworthy again
Correct.
in case of any issue. Beyond that, it's out of your hand.
It's
right?
out of your hand.
You can't do anything
You
about
can't.
it.
And in fact, it'll be a good idea for you to think about what is out of hand but appears to be fixable also.
Interesting.
For example, if your brakes are starting to fail, do you say, I will go slower and try to get to my destination? Or do you say, wow, this could snowball into a massive accident? So I'm going to park the car and call roadside assistance now. That is a good call. If you're alone, how much risk are you taking? If you're with family, how much risk are you willing to take?
Correct.
If you're in a group,
Environment again.
yeah. Environment and you. If you're in a group, do you tell the group to carry on? Do you decide one part of the group stays with you, the rest of it carries on? Or do you say, hey, listen, it's a truck that's going to come and tow the car. Nobody needs to be here. You guys carry on. I will solve this, get it to a garage. If it's fixable, awesome. Otherwise, I'll figure out a way to catch a bus, overnight taxi or whatever and meet you where you are and hop into somebody else's car. How much of a issue you're going to make out of this is a total mindset issue. So to me, an emergency is a thing that happens. Does it happen statistically so often that we have to always be on like tenterhooks? And no, not really.
If you enjoyed this bit of the conversation, I would recommend heading over to the MotorInc channel because that's where you'll find the entire conversation, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that even more.